Hello and welcome back. It is January 22, 2026, and today we're opening a file that, on the surface, looks like either a huge missed opportunity or maybe a bullet dodged.
It really depends on how much homework you've done before you even think about writing a check.
Exactly. Because in this industry, what looks like a bargain is, often just the entry fee to a maze. But before we get into the weeds, we should probably be clear about who's doing the analysis here.
Right.
We are the Gambling Databases Research Team, a group dedicated to delivering in-depth analyses of the global iGaming landscape. In each country-specific report, we explore key aspects such as local regulations, taxation, player experience, operator conditions, and emerging trends.
And our whole goal is to provide a clear, data-driven understanding of how the gambling industry functions within each market and, what makes it unique.
And today, that mission takes us to the Kingdom of Lesotho.
A fascinating place. The kingdom in the sky.
It really is. High altitude, completely landlocked by South Africa.
Yeah.
Now, for anyone who's just scanning spreadsheets looking for a cheap entry point into Africa, Lesotho jumps right out. It looks like the deal of a lifetime.
You see the low license fees, you see what looks like an open market, and you think, okay, let's go.
But as we dug into the data for this report, we just kept hitting, well, dead ends.
Which is why we've ended up calling it a ghost market. It's a term we don't really use lightly.
So what does that mean exactly? A ghost market?
It's a market that looks from a distance like it has all the right parts. It has a shape, a structure. But when you actually try to build something in the online space, when you try to touch it, your hand goes right through it.
There's nothing there.
There's no substance to support a digital business.
So our mission today is to figure out why a country with a clear, functional history of land-based casinos has absolutely zero framework for online gambling. And more importantly, where the money goes in that vacuum.
Right.
Let's start with the foundation. This isn't a prohibition state, is it? Gambling isn't taboo there.
Not at all. It's culturally pretty integrated and legally recognized. If you look at the laws, the framework is solid. It's a little dusty.
How dusty are we talking?
We're talking the Lotteries and Betting Act of 1984 and the Casino Board Regulation from 1989.
1989. Okay, so this is legislation written when the internet was, what, a university project?
Yeah.
Definitely not a place to be placing bets.
Exactly. These are pre-digital laws, but for the brick-and-mortar world, they actually work fine. If you want to open a physical casino, the path is clear.
And in practice, that's led to a monopoly.
Right. It has, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the market's so small, you have the Avani Lesotho Hotel and Casino in Maseru. That's really the only game in town for a full casino experience.
What are we talking size-wise?
Oh, it's not huge. Maybe 14 tables, about 71 slots. It serves the capital. And then on the sports betting side, it's a bit more open. You have three main operators: Betting World, Premier Sports Betting, and Superbets.
Okay, so I can walk into the betting shop in Maseru and put a bet on a football match.
Yeah.
The physical world, it's all there. The lights are on.
They are.
But here's the paradox. It's 2026. All the growth is digital. So if the casino board can license a physical shop, why on earth can't they license an app?
Because the legislation, it effectively doesn't know what an app is.
It's not in the dictionary from 1989.
Exactly. This creates what we call a regulatory limbo. The board issues licenses for premises, for a physical space. There's no mechanism in the law to issue a license for a URL or a server.
So the local guys, the ones running those betting shops, they're stuck.
They're legally paralyzed. They can't launch a local Ricidals gambling site because the piece of paper they would need to do that, it just doesn't exist.
Wow. That creates a huge imbalance. The local companies are tied to storefronts, they're paying rent, staff.
While the players are all on the internet, they have phones.
And for them, it's a gray market.
Precisely. There is no law that says a person in Lesotho can't gamble on an offshore site, so they do. But for a local business, it's a total no-go zone. You can't start a digital business if the government hasn't even created the forms for it.
So the local industry just has to sit there and watch all that potential revenue fly offshore because they're not allowed to build a net to catch it.
That's the definition of a missed opportunity. Capital flight, because the rules haven't kept up with the times.
Okay, I want to talk about the trap now.
Yeah.
Because when I was reading the fee structure in our report, I honestly thought there was a typo.
The entry costs, yeah, they are deceptively low.
Low is an understatement. A casino application fee of $2,500.
Correct.
An annual license fee of $7,200. For sports betting, it's $3,000 a year. I mean, we're used to seeing 6-7-figure fees. This costs less than my car. Why isn't everyone rushing to buy one?
Because you're not paying for a piece of paper, you're paying for permission to build a building.
So those fees are only for land-based operations.
Strictly.
I can't just pay the 7 grand, get a license,
Yeah.
and then run a website from a server somewhere in Europe.
Absolutely not. The casino board is very strict on this. To hold that license, you need a physical presence, a registered address, local staff on payroll, security, a building they can physically inspect.
You're basically getting into the hotel business first just to get a gambling license on the side.
That's the reality of it. The cheap license is attached to a massive capital project.
Okay. And even if you did that, even if you were willing to burn the cash, there's another problem with the tax structure, isn't there? For the player.
Yes, and it's a killer for retention. The operator tax is fine. It's 12.5% on GGR, which is actually pretty reasonable.
What?
But the government also charges a 5% withholding tax on all player winnings,
Yeah.
and it's deducted right at the source.
So if I walk into the Havana and win, say, $100 on a slot machine, I only walk away with 95.
Correct. The cashier keeps $5 for the state. Now, what if you're sitting in the lobby of that same hotel, you open your phone, and you win $100 on an offshore site?
I keep all 100.
Exactly. The regulated local guy is structurally disadvantaged from the start. The offshore competition is easier to access, and it pays out more. Why would a rational player choose the option that charges them a fee to cash out?
They wouldn't. Which brings us back to the core economic question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm an investor and I decide to build the physical shop anyway, hoping the law changes. Is there even enough money in Lesotho to make that bet worthwhile?
And this is where the ghost market idea really gets its teeth. We ran these numbers a few times because they're startlingly low.
Okay.
You've got a population of about 2.35 million. It's very young. The median age is around 22.
Which normally would be a great sign for online betting.
Usually, yes. But the economic reality here is it's severe. The entire country's GDP is only about $2.5 billion.
Put that in perspective.
That's less than the annual revenue of a single mid-sized European gaming company. The GDP per capita is around $1,070.
A year?
Less than $100 a month per person. Right. And with a poverty rate hovering around 60%, disposable income money you can actually afford to lose is almost non-existent for most people.
So we are not hunting for high rollers here.
We aren't even hunting for regular players. We estimated the total online wagering volume for the entire country, every single dollar bet on offshore sites, everything.
And the number you came back with was?
$650,000 per year.
Wait, hold on. 650,000 for the whole country, total.
That's the entire pie. If you were the only operator and you captured 100% of the market, that's your revenue. It's less than the monthly take for a small casino in a European city.
That is just staggering. So my $500,000 physical shop is fighting for a slice of a market that barely even covers my setup costs.
That's it. We ran an ROI projection. Best case scenario, you're looking at 18 to 30 months just to break even. For any international operator, the math just doesn't work.
The customer acquisition cost would be more than their lifetime value.
By a huge margin. It's simply not worth the headache.
But still, $650,000 is moving. Someone is betting. You said it's a young population, so this has to be all on mobile, right?
100%. It's a mobile-first, often mobile-only market. Mobile penetration is high. It's about 88%. People have phones.
But not necessarily internet.
That's the gap. Internet penetration is stuck down at 48%. Data is expensive relative to income. So, people will turn it on, send a message, turn it straight off.
So your product has to be super lightweight, no fancy graphics.
No data-heavy live casino streams, no high-def video. It just won't load. But even that isn't the biggest hurdle. The real killer is payments. This is where Western operators always fall down in Africa. They show up expecting Visa and MasterCard to just work.
And in Lesotho, credit card penetration is what?
It's under 5%.
Yeah.
If your site requires a credit card to deposit, you've just closed your business to 95% of the population.
It's all mobile money.
It's the absolute lifeblood of the economy. M-Pesa is king. They have about a 49% market share. EcoCash is next with 27%. If your platform is not integrated directly with the M-Pesa API, you are invisible. You don't exist.
And this ties back to the tiny market size, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because people are betting tiny amounts.
Exactly. We're talking microtransactions, 20-cent bets, 50-cent bets, and if you're paying a transaction fee on every single tiny deposit and withdrawal, your margin it disappears.
It's a volume business model in a low-volume country.
It's a fatal combination. It works for M-Pesa because they're the ones charging the fees. It can't work for the operator who's paying them.
So we've got a market that is structurally impossible, economically tiny, and legally a black hole. But things change. Governments hate losing tax revenue. Is there any sign that Lesotho is waking up to this?
There is, actually, and the pressure is coming from outside. The biggest signal we've seen is a 2025 Memorandum of Understanding they signed with Botswana.
Botswana. Why is that significant?
Because Botswana has been seriously tightening its own regulations, they are getting very strict. So by partnering with Lesotho on things like anti-money laundering, AML, and responsible gambling, they're basically exporting their standards.
It sounds like Lesotho is preparing to close the loopholes.
That's what the MOU suggests. They realize they have a big hole in their financial border.
And what does closing the loop look like for an offshore operator who's currently taking bets from there?
It looks like a firewall. The next logical step is enforcement. We think we're moving toward a block or pay situation where the government just tells the ISPs to block access to all known offshore gambling sites.
That's a massive risk. You could be taking traffic one day, and the next morning your domain is just gone, blacklisted.
And you have zero recourse. You don't have a license because a license doesn't exist, so you can't appeal, you can't sue, you just vanish.
Which seems to be the trend across that whole region, right? The
Yeah.
Southern African Development Community.
It is. The sort of free lunch era in Africa is ending. For years, operators treated it as a bonus market, but now governments are waking up to digital sovereignty. They want the tax data, and they want the AML compliance.
Okay, let's wrap this up with the official gambling database's verdict. How does Lesotho stack up on our scorecard?
It's pretty harsh, but the data is the data.
Mm-hmm.
For operator ease, we gave it a 2.3 out of 10. That's a prohibitive score.
Because of the physical build requirement?
It's a non-starter. You just can't scale a business that way.
And for the players?
Player access is actually high. We scored it a 7.5 out of 10. It's easy to get online and play right now, but that comes with a huge warning. Zero protection. If an offshore site decides not to pay you, you're completely on your own.
So the bottom line, overall market attractiveness.
We landed on a 3.5 out of 10. It's a hard pass for pretty much anyone. The only exception might be a local hotel group that's already there. For an international iGaming company, the juice is just not worth the squeeze.
The ghost market, indeed. It looks like one, it sounds like one, but there's absolutely nothing to hold on to.
Just a lot of risk, a lot of overhead, and a tiny, tiny reward.
And the looming threat that the door could be slammed shut at any moment.
Exactly. It's a perfect case study in why a cheap license doesn't always mean a good opportunity. Sometimes a high barrier to entry exists to protect a valuable market. Here, the low barrier is just a sign that there's nothing valuable inside to protect.
A really sobering analysis of the Kingdom of Lesotho. It seems the best play here is to just watch and see what happens with that Botswana Mo.
Agreed. Better to read about it in one of our reports than to be the subject of it.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought on that regional trend. We're seeing Lesotho, Botswana, South Africa, all starting to speak the same regulatory language. Are we witnessing the birth of a unified Southern African gambling standard? And if we are, will that finally unlock the market by creating a single set of rules? Or will it just build an even higher wall around these small economies?
That is the billion-dollar question for the next decade. If they unify, they create a market big enough to matter. If they isolate themselves, they'll just stay ghosts.
For the full text of this and other country reports, visit our website at gamblingdatabases.com. We've got the full breakdown there, all the charts, and the deep data we couldn't get to today.
Until next time, keep analyzing the data.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.